En Inglaterra tenemos un desayuno muy famoso, el equivalente de la bandeja paisa en Colombia. Voy a hablar en inglés sobre eso. Soy Shandon, profesor nativo de Inglés Británico, y este podcast es para hispanohablantes que quieren entrenar su oído y hablar inglés con confianza para conseguir mejores trabajos en el Reino Unido. Empecemos. Hello and welcome to episode 34 of this podcast. I hope you're having a great day and a great week, and I hope you're ready to improve your understanding in English today. Today I want to speak about English culture. In one of my previous episodes, I spoke about the Sunday roast, a very traditional dinner in England. That's a very famous dish, and today I want to speak about another very famous dish in England. But this time I want to speak about a popular breakfast here in England, and something that is definitely one of my favourite dishes from England. By the end, hopefully you'll want to try this dish. If you've already tried it, I hope that by the end of this episode, you'll want to have it again. Very few people don't like this dish because it's delicious, to be honest. So today I'm going to speak about what this dish is, the key ingredients in this dish, when I normally have this dish and when people in England normally have it, how often I have this dish, and where you can try this dish in England. So let's get started. This famous breakfast in England has a few different names. One of the most common names is the English breakfast. A very simple name, but it describes what it is because it's very traditional and very popular breakfast here in England. People also call this dish a full English breakfast. That's another name we use for it. The name I use and the name we use in my family is a fry-up. So we call this dish a fry-up. You may have heard these names before, maybe not. And you may have heard of this dish before. But I'm excited to describe it to you today in lots of detail. So, a fry-up or an English breakfast. I'm going to use the name English breakfast from now on to keep it simpler. But an English breakfast, it's a very, very large dish. It's not really a breakfast. It's more like a brunch. So a brunch is a meal that we eat between the time we normally have breakfast and normally have lunch. And if we have brunch, we don't normally eat breakfast or lunch. So it's a way of combining the two meals. So an English breakfast is like a brunch, really. And when do we usually eat this in England? We would normally eat an English breakfast on Sundays, but we can have it on any day. We normally have it on Sundays because people are usually at home on Sundays and it's a more relaxed day. In my family, we have an English breakfast on Sundays, usually around 10 o'clock in the morning. We don't have it every week because it's quite a heavy dish. There are lots of ingredients and preparation involved. So we don't have it every week. But there are lots of families who do have it every week. Some people will also have this dish at any time of day. So as I said, normally people would have it for breakfast or for brunch in the morning, but some people have this for lunch or dinner, but it's not as common. The most traditional and the most normal thing to do is to have this dish in the morning. So, what ingredients make an English breakfast so spectacular? There are quite a few different ingredients involved. Not everyone has exactly the same ingredients. Some people will have different ingredients. But I'm going to tell you what I have and what me and my family have. Plus, I'll tell you some other ingredients that other English people sometimes have with their English breakfast. So, let's start with a very important part, the meat. And there are two meats we usually have with an English breakfast. The first are sausages. So sausages, for me, are by far the best bit of an English breakfast. We normally have pork sausages. So the meat comes from a pig, pork sausages. And traditionally, these would be fried in a frying pan. But you can also grill them or cook them in the oven. In my family, we usually grill the sausages. We don't fry them. But sausages are by far, in my opinion, of course, the best part. The other meat that we have is bacon. So again, it's pork, comes from a pig, but this is another essential part of an English breakfast. Again, this is normally fried or grilled. In my family, we fry the bacon. But sausages and bacon are key parts of an English breakfast. Another key part of an English breakfast are eggs. These are fried traditionally. But in my family, we don't have fried eggs. We have scrambled eggs, which we prefer. So you've got sausages, bacon, and eggs. Next, let's move on to the vegetables. We have mushrooms and tomatoes in an English breakfast, and these are fried in oil or butter. We don't cut them up small. Normally, we just cut them in half. So we would have salad tomatoes, which are slightly bigger tomatoes, and we cut them in half. And the same with the mushrooms. Another of my favourite ingredients that's part of an English breakfast are baked beans. Baked beans are very, very English. You buy them in a tin and they are delicious. What are they? Baked beans are beans in a tomato sauce. There are some other ingredients as well, but basically it's just beans in a tomato sauce. As I said, these are delicious, especially when you mix them and eat them with the sausages. So those are the main ingredients I have and me and my family have when we have an English breakfast. Sometimes we also have bread and butter or toast, but not always. It depends on the week or the day. But those are also good additions to an English breakfast. Bread or toast. So now let me talk about some other ingredients that some people have. Not that we have in my house with my family, but other English people have these ingredients. The first one is called black pudding. This in Spanish would be morcilla. It's quite traditional, but me and my family never have black pudding. To be honest, I think it's disgusting. It's partly made from pig's blood. So the blood of a pig, which, in my opinion, is disgusting. Another ingredient that some people have are hash browns. These are crispy potatoes, so they're called hash browns. In my family, we never have these, but they are very nice. I've tried them before with other meals, and they are very nice as well. In terms of what people drink with an English breakfast, it completely depends on the person. Some people will have coffee. Some people will have tea with milk. Some people might have juice, like orange juice, for example. But it really depends on the person. So how often do I have an English breakfast? When I was younger, when I was a kid, I maybe had an English breakfast once a month, sometimes twice a month. In certain periods of my life, I had it every weekend. But nowadays, very rarely do I have an English breakfast because it takes quite a lot of effort to prepare it, and it's also quite a fatty dish. Sausages and bacon are quite fatty. There's lots of fat and oil. So it's not the healthiest dish. And it's also expensive if you make it very often. So nowadays, I maybe have an English breakfast once every 2 or 3 months. So, if you're in England, where can you try this amazing dish? This delicious dish called an English breakfast. Some pubs in England open quite early, and the pubs that open early will usually serve this dish. One chain of pubs that I know that serves an English breakfast is Wetherspoons, which is a very popular chain of pubs in England. There are lots of cafes in England that will usually serve an English breakfast too. Because it's very traditional and it's our most famous breakfast, it's usually very easy to find. And if you want to make it yourself, all supermarkets in England should have all of these ingredients. They should have everything you need to make an English breakfast at home for yourself. I would recommend going to try one in a pub or a cafe, and then also trying to make it yourself at home. Trust me, it's delicious. So there's a bit of English culture for you. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you're now very hungry and that you really want to try or to have, if you've already tried, an English breakfast. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Gracias por escuchar este episodio de mi diario de Inglés Británico. Si vives en el Reino Unido y sientes que tu inglés te está frenando profesionalmente, te invito a hacer una evaluación de fluidez gratuita conmigo. En la sesión veo cómo hablas inglés ahora, identifico qué te está bloqueando y te explico qué necesitas trabajar para expresarte con más claridad y confianza. Hay plazas limitadas, así que reserva tu evaluación ahora a través del link en la descripción del episodio. Gracias y nos vemos pronto. Bye.